Oh yeah, surfing the web, looking for beer videos on YouTube. Huh. Ooh, what's this one? Click, click.
Hello YouTube, welcome to the Bar Exam, the show where I'm overthinking what we're all drinking.
Oh yeah, he's gonna talk about Heady Topper and stuff. Well, who doesn't like their ego stroked, am I right? Click.
Today, I'm not doing a beer review so much as I'm doing a beer retrospective.
Oh, this is gonna be so long.
It's hard to imagine the beer scene today without thinking about the IPA style. And nothing exemplifies this quite as much as the 16-ounce cans of delicious, hazy, juicy stuff that we've all collectively dubbed the New England style of IPA. It's gotten to the point now where even the Brewers Association has added it as its own separate category in the 2018 style guidelines. But where did this style of beer come from? I mean, it didn't just spring fully formed out of the forehead of Charlie Papazian after all. Well, there's a couple theories. One of them being that the lupulin shift, that is to say the collective palate for bitter beer in America, has shifted so far towards the bitter end of the spectrum that we've all kind of collectively realized that, man, bitter beer is kind of awful to drink.
Whoa! Bitter beer face!
Don't let bitter beer make a bad first impression.
Before you go reaching for that Keystone Light, I've got another theory. See, one of the defining characteristics of the New England style of IPA is the haze. And whether it comes from latent proteins, or the interaction between dry hops early in the fermentation and the yeast, or a brewer just adding flour to the mash tun, you think of this hazy character as being the defining trait of a New England style IPA. When you see haze in a beer, you think of it as being unfiltered. And when you think of it as being unfiltered, you think there's nothing lost. There's nothing being taken away from the beer. It's raw, it's unprocessed. It's full-flavored and fresh, maybe from the tanks if possible. Now this trend didn't start in the US, and it certainly didn't even start with the IPA. And that brings us to the beer that I want to talk about today.
Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. What?
The beer I'd like to talk about today is Hopfenweisse by Schneider. This unique beer started as a 2008 collaboration between Brooklyn Brewery's owner Garrett Oliver and Schneider's brewmaster Hans-Peter Drexler. Today, it's become one of their most popular year-round offerings, set to be released later this year in 3rd-liter bottles. Described as a pale Weizenbock, it's also dry-hopped, open-fermented, and bottle-conditioned. The result is a luscious, hazy, and juicy bomb of a beer. On the aroma, you get a lot of wildflower, you get a lot of orange zest, a little bit of honey. Also the spiciness of clove and a touch of banana, which is pretty standard for wheat beers like this. The flavor follows almost exactly. There's orange, a lot of apricot, a bit more banana notes on the flavor there, but a very nice honeyed sweetness that rounds everything out. And while it's a very sweet beer, malty even, it finishes dry, like a lot of classic German beers. So why do I consider this to be the first New England style IPA? Well, that is a pretty ridiculous claim, and maybe I am just looking for a clickbaity title, but I think it actually holds ground here. I mean, first of all, just look at it. Secondly, let's look at the ingredients. As a Weizenbock, that means it has to have 51% wheat malt, at least, and in this case, it's all pale wheat malt, a main constituent in these IPAs coming out of New England. Or, well, at least it's responsible for the haze buildup anyway. The hops used are formerly experimental varieties that came out of the Huell Institute in Germany. These are Hallertau Tradition, which is a higher alpha acid and also disease-resistant cultivar of Hallertau Mittelfrüh, the classic noble variety, and Saphir, which is a totally unique aroma Hopfen variety, or aroma hop variety. Saphir has a low percentage of alpha acids, but it has a relatively high percentage of all of the other different beta acids that are involved in it. Very similar to Mosaic, although Mosaic is obviously a bit more intense. The US growing climate is quite a bit more conducive to these really intensely flavorful hop varieties, unlike Germany. So remember how I said that the trend of hazy beer didn't exactly start in the US? Well, I think that's true. See, in Germany, they have this traditional thing called a Keller beer, which is an unfiltered version of all of the great lagers that exist over there, like the Pils and the Helles and the Dunkel and Bock beers. See, drinking it fresh, unfiltered, is a really special thing. See, these lagers, they're what we know as naked beers. There's nothing to hide behind. You have a very crisp, clean malt profile, bracing hops, and, you know, that's basically it. But the Keller versions are something interesting. They have this delicious mouthfeel that's very unctuous and, you know, full-bodied feeling. They just give you a sense of character that you don't really get in the, you know, the overly filtered versions of them. And it's the same with New England IPAs, right? That's the desire, that's the draw. People have always wanted fresh, unfiltered, and flavorful beers. That's what I'm trying to get at. And while this hoppy wheat didn't exactly start the revolution in the US, I think that might just be because it was a little bit ahead of its time. Now, as an IPA fan, I can't recommend this beer enough, and I think you should all absolutely go out and try it. However, I will, in the, you know, measure of full disclosure, say that finding it fresh here is going to be very difficult. Now, I have a pretty good importer nearby, but the freshest I could get this, judging by the date code on here, 17.346. That means it was bottled in 2017 on the 346th day of the year, so December 12th. And at 4 months old, I can tell that it's starting to not be as fresh and vibrant as it should be. Now, I first had this beer a few years ago while I was over in Germany for the hop harvest. I had been drinking nothing but Pils and Helles for 2 weeks, and then I went and tried this beer, and it was just a jolt of lightning. I was absolutely floored by the absolute juiciness, the freshness. I mean, I had been walking around hop fields for those 2 weeks, and when I put my nose to this, it was like I was just right there, back at one of the farms. You know, the overwhelming sense of fresh, green. Anyway, I digress. I can't recommend that you go find it enough. You know, at least for the interesting perspective it might give you on the global beer trade. I don't know. I'm gonna keep drinking it. Anyway, this has been the Bar Exam. I'm Andrew Hoffman. Cheers, everyone.